Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I just got back from this movie, so I'm giving you my real first impression, as I used to call it on the Real Geno Facebook page. This movie takes place 6 years after the events of the first movie, and our main characters, Ralph and Vanellope, they're kind of, I don't want to say in a rut, but Ralph's just happy with life and how it is, and Vanellope just seems to be getting bored with the same thing every night. They do their games, and then they go do things at other games after they get off work, and she seems to want something new, so Ralph decides that he's going to change Sugar Rush and make her a new track. And as he makes a new track, she loves it at first, but then she takes control of the game while a kid is playing it, and the kid starts to fight back with the controls, and the steering wheel breaks on her game. It comes to find out that the makers of Sugar Rush went out of business years ago, and to get a part to fix this game, they have to order it from eBay, and it was going to cost like $200. And the arcade owner says, well, the machine don't even make that much every year. So he says, I think it's just time to sell it for parts. Well, right before that, the arcade just got Wi-Fi. So Ralph decides that he's going to take Vanellope to the internet, and they're going to go to eBay and get this steering wheel. So that's the plot of the story. I have to say that, and I know I've talked about this before, and I know others have talked about this before. I know I talked with Brad about this. I was afraid of this movie after seeing the first trailer. I was afraid it was going to be the Emoji Movie all over again, where it was just, things for apps and games and different things like that. Now, I will say there is a little bit of that in this movie, but it's not that bad. What little bit they do, it's fine in the context of the movie. And I have to say that, okay, when they go to the internet, in the background you see lots of things, like you see the birds from Twitter and just different, you see these buildings that are the different websites, and there's Google and Pinterest and things like that, and a few of them do get kind of some shout outs, so to speak. There's a part where Ralph uses the pen in Pinterest as a weapon. There's a fight on the Google building. eBay, getting to eBay is a big thing, so there's probably some marketing money there. But really a lot of it, not all the sites they show are real. So a lot of it's just in the background. So in the context that they use it, they weren't going into these different things all the time, like the Emoji Movie, and trying to sell us games and new emojis and things like that. Now, like I said, there is some selling going on. A lot of people were afraid of the Disney part, whenever they saw it in the trailer. And I have to say that it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. They're not in there for very long. And even the princess part isn't that long. It's just the right amount of time. It kind of makes sense in the context of the movie, why she's there. I don't want to say why she's there. But what little bits they show, it's just little bits of, hey, you know this, hey, you know that. She gets chased by stormtroopers. You see Iron Man standing around. Just different things that Disney owns, right? And I also will say there is a cameo during the Disney part that might bring a bit of a tear to your eye. So be looking out for that. But the Disney part, the part that it's trying to sell, the princesses, they're definitely there to sell something. Now, the stuff they do with the princesses, story-wise, is really funny, and it really works, and then you think you've seen it all in the trailer, but you haven't. There's just a lot of funny stuff there with them. That being said, they are there to sell clothes. there's this whole thing where they're wondering about Vanellope's outfit, her comfy hoodie and everything, and they all want one. So they all make, shirts and stuff that have like quotes from their movies and things like that. I haven't looked it up, but I bet if I go look to the Disney store or whatever store they decide to partner with, you're going to find these clothes. That being said, it's not like they're saying, hey, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff. No, it's funny I say that with an Avengers shirt on. It's there, and you know what it's there for, but they're not really forcing it. So the Disney part is just really funny. I wouldn't have minded a few more jokes from that. One thing that people might not like about this movie, even though I think a nice transition, you should let it go, is at the first and at the end, they do show the video game characters. You see Sonic and Pac-Man and Zangief. There's a couple jokes about Zangief. So there's characters in the background and everything, just like in the first movie. That being said, when they get to the internet, there's really none of that. I don't even think they even cut back to them. So there's not a lot of video game stuff in this, of the classic video game characters and everything. And of course, with Illumination picking up Mario, there's definitely no Mario in this one. And another thing that might bother people is that Fix-It Felix and Calhoun are barely in this movie. They're there at the first. They do have a purpose, and it would have been nice if we would have got some cutaways to them throughout the movie to kind of play on their little side quest, so to speak, that they have. You'll understand when you see it. But they don't. They show them at the first, and then once Ralph and Vanellope go to the internet, they're in the internet. So so that people might not like that, but what little bit they're in it, they're pretty funny. And another thing is, one of the strongest parts about the first movie was the villain. They had Turbo, aka King Candy. Sorry, spoiler. But in this movie, while there are quote-unquote villains, or at least a villain, there's really no real villain. It's more about the Vanellope's and Ralph's journey and about their friendship. That's what the movie's about. And it works really well. It would have been nice to have a villain, but hey, when they focus so much on their friendship and what friendships are, and they're also making fun of the internet, and they are also especially making fun of Disney princesses, which, that's one thing I liked about the movie Frozen, is that it made fun of the Disney princesses, and this movie really makes fun of Disney princesses, yet it also makes them strong characters too. It's a nice balance. So yeah, there's not really a villain, so it's fine though. But really the story of the movie's really sweet. The animation is what you expect. I love the way their internet looked versus the Emoji Movie's internet. They kind of show everyone has their own little avatar, even if it's not something that has an avatar. Like if they're shopping at eBay, they have a little avatar. And what's funny is if something happens to the avatar, it'll cut to the person on the internet and their internet connection will go down, and it's hilarious. But yeah, the movie's really sweet. It's really entertaining. It's really funny. Way better than I had even hoped. Again, I feared that this movie was going to be too commercial, and it is. I mean, trust me, it's like, yeah, you're showing that you have Star Wars and Marvel and all that stuff, but they don't milk it, except for, again, the Disney princesses. The clothes is really going to be a selling point, and of course, toys of the different characters, especially the new characters. So yeah, the story of Vanellope trying to find out what she wants out of life, and also figuring out what that means to her and Ralph's friendship, is really the biggest story. And it works really well. So I highly recommend this movie. Don't let your fears of its commercialism ruin you wanting to go see it. Go see it. It's an amazing sequel to an already great movie. I will say, definitely stay to the mid credits and to the end of the credits. The mid credits makes a pretty funny joke about something that people that like to comment on movies and what are in and what's not in movies. They make a joke about it in the mid-credit scene. And the end-credit scene, which honestly nobody stayed for in my theater. I was the only one that stayed, and I knew there'd be something, and it's perfect for the theme of this movie. And I loved it. It made me, I lost it at the end of the movie, and it's something that once you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I expect that. Of course that should have happened, but seeing it still cracked me up, and I love this movie. It's one of my favorite animated movies this year already. I'll probably definitely go take the kiddos to see it. Definitely highly recommended. I can't really say much more about it. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel, like this video, and if you have anything to say about this movie, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno Reynolds. See you later.